one-on-one with embattled, and I say embattled, Machakos County Governor, because about 10 days ago, the Court of Appeal nullified the Machakos County gubernatorial elections. Nullified and shocked my guest tonight. And let's face it, Governor, thank you for coming on Sunday Live. You were shocked that day.
No, I was startled. I was shocked because it was the last thing that I expected. Because, as you know, I'm a stickler to ethics, and I did everything well.
Yeah.
And we ran a very clean campaign. We never did anything wrong that I saw, that we did anything wrong. But, you know, and there was nothing to do with the numbers or anything. But I respect, and I respect the judgment, and I respect the Court of Appeal and the judges. I don't agree with it, but I respect them.
Yeah, but you've decided to go to the Supreme Court?
I've decided to go to the Supreme Court, and I've appealed. I've given a notice of appeal. The IEBC have also given a notice of appeal. They're also appealing. And so it is a matter that is now alive in the court, so we leave it to the court.
Yeah, but at the time you said it was political.
Well, I didn't say it was political. I just said that it was startling, and it is something that we'll come to, you know, and I'll respect also the decision of the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to go on the ballot. I will go to the ballot today, just like I told you last time we met you on the bench. I would still win, because the times have changed. People want a future. People want people who can actually take them to the next step. Kenyans are hungry, you know, for development, and that is what we are giving in this new paradigm shift when it comes to the way we lead our country.
Yeah, okay, let me just read one little thing here. The judgment read by Ouko, they said that they used an Excel spreadsheet to announce the results instead of the Form 37C. That's what they used. You know, the judgment is clear. They used an Excel sheet. That's what they disqualified, or they nullified this election on.
Well, I don't want to talk about the election and what happened, because there are arguments that are being done for the Supreme Court. So I don't want to be drawn into that, because I would now be discussing the matter that is alive in the courts.
Sure, okay, but you must have thought it was unfair.
Well, yeah, anyway, when something like that happens as a human being, you think it's unfair.
Yeah.
Especially when you know that you've played by the rules. But you have to respect the court. The court has to be respected, whether you agree with it or not.
Yeah. If you lose in the Supreme Court, what happens?
We go back to the ballot, and I know failure is not an option. I'm quite confident in terms of, you know, my legal team and everything we're doing. We go back to the ballot and we win again, and we continue with our journey of changing lives and making sure that everybody knows that you are born for a purpose. You are not born to suffer. You are born to have a good life, and the role of government is to be able to provide an enabling environment for each child born in this country, not to be born and to die as one of the so-called wretched of the earth.
Let's talk about your journey. 2013, when you ran for governor, you won by 71%.
Yes.
71, overwhelming.
Yes.
This time you won by 54%. Not quite overwhelming, just a bit over 50%.
Well, the dynamics changed. I mean, there was a wave. There was, you have to give it, truly there was a NASA wave. And at times when there's a wave in a political area, you expect some dynamics to change. But at the end of the day, it's 50+1. I still won. That is what is important.
You still
That's
won.
What is important here.
But also, you talk a good talk, let's face it.
Yes.
You keep saying, we've built these roads, we've built these clinics, we've done this, built the stadium, built the park, built all that.
Yeah, and the last time I was here, I told you, Jeff, instead of us coming to the studios, I wish we could take a tour with you and talk to the Wananchi on the ground, you know. Let's take, for example, you know, when you come to Kambani, water is a big problem. And we are told about the shortage of water, not just where I come from, but everywhere. Now, you find that I have dug I was getting the report, I have 360 boreholes, brand new boreholes, equipped with solar, functioning boreholes in every part of Machakos. Never been seen since independence. I have another 40, 50 that are being run by electricity. More boreholes than have been dug by all the other governors combined. It's not bragging. It is saying that we have actually discovered a paradigm, a system of actually accelerating development for the sake of Wananchi. Women used to walk for 5 kilometers.
Sure.
Now they're walking for 3 and 4.
How come these development records, or this record, doesn't resonate with the people?
But let me tell you, if I had not done the things I have done, if I had not built the roads, built the toilets, provided the ambulances, done all these things, I would have lost. I'm telling you, it was a tsunami. It was a big wave. People had written me off.
And you still could lose. If you go back to the polls, you could lose.
No, we win. The things have changed. There's no NASA wave anymore. I mean, Honorable Raila Odinga with Kalonzo Musyoka and the NASA team camped in Machakos. I think they were there for 15 times, talking about NASA, demonizing Uhuru Kenyatta. I was being demonized for standing with Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yeah, you
I was
were.
being called a traitor. So you see, all these dynamics came into the political game. I was being said that I'm being used by Jubilee, even though I'm in Maendeleo Chap to ruin for a so-called, man from Ukambani. So all these dynamics were there, all these lies and propaganda in the times of elections. And the only reason I won is not just because people like the shape of my face or nose. It's because of the work that I've done.
Okay, it's fine. And you talk to the other side and they say, you know what, it doesn't seem to resonate. You're talking such a good talk, but it's not resonating with people on the ground.
I would have lost. I'm telling you, it's about losing. I would have lost. If I had not done the work I've done, if I was not resonating, I would have lost. People had written me off completely. They had said that if one kingpin says this is the way to go, as it happened in several parts of Kenya, if you go against the grain, you go home. I didn't go home. Why? I showed my mantle that I can also play hard politics, that I can also convince my people. But I was not selling air. Nowadays you can sell air for a lot of millions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was not selling air. I was selling tangible things. A lot of women voted for me. When they asked why, they said, because I used to walk for 5 kilometers, now I only walk for 500 meters or 300 meters to get water. A lot of people supported me because before they used to be choked by dust, but now they have, tarmac roads. A lot of people voted for me. Why? Because before they used to die on the road, bleed to death. But now they have an ambulance in every location that you call for free and takes you to hospital. So there are all these things that helped me win. And I thank the people of Machakos for showing that, we have always been told that the African mind is just tribal and does not look at development and everything, but showing that we are great and our people can now tell the difference between empty politics and politics of development.
If someone was to ask you what's been Dr. Alfred Mutua's greatest achievement in Machakos County, what would you say?
I would say the construction of roads. I would say
so people say those roads don't last 3 days.
Well, because they don't live there. Have you had anybody from Machakos who is using the road saying they don't last? When I built the Makutano Mwala to Kilimani Road, 33 kilometers in 3 months, people said it will be washed off in the next rain.
Yeah.
It is 5 years. The road is holding better than the roads built by the national government in recent years. The road is holding. It is a good road. People are still using it. I built the Kadhiani to go to Kangundo Road. It is there. All the roads I've built are there. People have to understand that technology has helped. You can do things faster and better. Just because you do it faster does not make it worse. And all these people will demonize you. They come, they say there's no road, they take pictures on the side, they don't take the real road, they put it on the social media, they try to demonize. But you demonize, the truth will always come out.
But they say you're really good at PR. That's your thing. You're great at PR.
I'm good at telling my story, but I'm good at also telling people, and I tell people, please do not talk on Twitter. Do not just talk on Facebook. It is important. Do not just talk in the studios. Bring your camera, go to the ground. Get into your vehicle, get into your boda, go to the ground and look at the projects. And I will be posting very soon, before the end of this month, a list of all the water projects, for example, with GPS coordinates, so that you can leave Kisumu and choose at random any of those projects, or go to all of them using GPS and see whether Mutua is PR or whether they exist on the ground. And you will find that they all exist, because we do things that people have not done since independence. And so people are overwhelmed. They say, it is not possible. And so because in their minds they think it is not possible, what do? They assign it to, it must be PR. It must be a lie. But I want to tell people, do not give up hope. It is possible to do some of these things. It is not only the Europeans or the Americans or the Japanese who can do great things. We also can do great things. We are also children born, in this world created by the same God.
Speaking of great things, I'll ask you in a little moment about your run for 2022, which you've already declared. Before that, Monica, what's that soundbite saying?
I'm asking Uhuru Kenyatta's government and the agencies that are concerned with the fight against corruption to immediately institute lifestyle audits of all elected, nominated leaders and appointed leaders in our country. Because we've seen people with so much wealth that we cannot understand. More money than their salary, more money than the businesses they have. We need people to account.
By the way, that was back in May.
Yes,
when you made that statement.
Yeah, that was even when I was still before even the Court of Appeal case. Yes.
And the president has since taken a cue from you, or is actually now about to implement a lifestyle audit. Is he losing the war on corruption?
I don't think he is. I mean, I can see that our president is, for lack of a better word, a man held hostage by corrupt elements among his own circles. This corruption is not being done by outsiders. It is not Ugandans. It is not Tanzanians. It is not Zambians who are coming to the government and doing and conducting these corrupt activities. There are people in government. And it is not just county governments. It is the national government. There are people close to the president who have the power. And they are the people actually leading this country astray. You know, Jeff, you lived in the US for very many years. You've been in Europe, you've been everywhere. You're an international man. You have seen the roles they have. You have seen the kind of lives they lead. And you know that the amount of money we raise in Kenya is just at times equivalent to some of the countries like Portugal and Greece and others. Yet we are much poorer. Why? Because we are like a bucket. We have all these resources, but we've got holes on the side where people are siphoning the money. And so the rest of us suffer. We've been condemned to poverty. We've been condemned to lives of hopelessness by a few greedy people. This country has been bleeding for years. We bled in the 70s, 80s, 90s. It was a bit okay there with Kibaki government, but we're still bleeding. But now we are hemorrhaging. We are hemorrhaging, you know. And if we don't stop this blood, the heart will stop. Will
this lifestyle audit work, though? That's the question. Will it work, or is it another smoke screen?
I think it will work if the president wants it to work. And for him to want it to work, he has to close his eyes. He has to look the other way. People will be scratching his back. People trying to be blackmailing him. I mean, you've had this new blackmail. They're telling him, oh, the lifestyle audit should start with Jomo Kenyatta, should start 1960s. They're trying to push the president so the president can slow down. But I'm telling the president, this is your legacy. If you fail in this, then you'll have failed. Everything you've done from the SGR will be forgotten. This is the most important battle. And I said the other day, what this country needs is that the president needs to declare corruption as a national disaster. He needs to have a Marshall Plan on how to fight corruption. It cannot just be lifestyle audit. We need a plan. The same way we combated HIV/AIDS. It was like a Marshall Plan. The country decided we have to do this as a people. And Kenyans have to get angry. Jeff, you need to get angry.
We're not angry enough.
We're not angry enough. I mean, I am shocked. I tweeted earlier on today about mercury. Mercury, I was going through the website of World Health Organization. Mercury is dangerous.
It's a killer.
Mercury is a killer. And, you know, now, you have relatives. I have parents. You have parents. We have siblings. We have cousins. The president's own children, the president has a grandchild. That grandchild eats formula. That formula and some of those foods that the child eats has to be added sugar, or some are added sugar. How do we know that the president's grandchild is not eating mercury-laced food? So nobody is safe, from the president, his family, yourself, myself, anybody in this country. We have been exposed
and the biggest fear
to poison.
And the biggest fear is the investigators say they're closing in on politicians and senior what. But you know, it's a smoke screen, people say. After 2-3 days, we'll have moved to the next scandal.
That is why I'm saying Kenyans need to get angry. We have to fight this war against corruption for once and fight it. But also we have to be careful. Let us not now start attacking the innocent people. Let us look at the, you know, like I said here, they are the big fish. You know, there's accumulation of wealth, which is understandable. You accumulate wealth with time. But there's massive accumulation of wealth that is questionable. There are stories we hear of massive bribery, road construction. People are taking briefcases to the national government, to county governments, purchase of goods. Somebody is there making every deal that is made in this country. Somebody is taking a cut. When you take a cut, that cut is added on to the cost of the road. That means instead of us getting 10 kilometers, we're getting 4 kilometers. Who is suffering? It's you and me. It's our taxpayers' money. And these people should not insulate themselves in their tribal cocoons, as the president said. You don't steal as a tribe, you steal as an individual. So you suffer as an individual.
But anyway you look at it, it's going to get ugly if, you know, kitaumana, you know,
mimi naona kitaumana kabisa. Na nafikiri hata wengine will try to blackmail this country into civil strife and war, but the president has to put his foot down. He has to say that he is the leader of this country. I like the fact that the handshake happened, you know, and we've not actually shaken hands. And it's always good to have the handshake.
And happy Father's Day.
Oh, thank you, and happy Father's Day too. And those are the people, our children, our grandchildren are the people that concern me the most. What are we leaving for them in this country? Every generation has left the country better, if you look at Europe and others. But our country is stagnating. We move forward, we go backwards. Look at the millions of young people unemployed. When you steal, you slow down the economy. When you slow down the economy, you reduce the number of jobs available. When you reduce the number of jobs available, you're creating apathy. A lot of young people at home today are at home because of corruption.
Yeah.
A lot of our people who are suffering because of corruption. So unless we end this and have like a turning point and have a new rebirth for Kenya, we'll continue being the same wretched of the earth forever.
Would Governor Alfred Mutua be willing to go through a lifestyle audit?
I actually was the first, and I think I'm the only one so far. I took myself to the EACC and told them, I want you, as an example, to conduct a lifestyle audit on me, because I know everything I own. Look at what I have, look at what my relatives have, look at even other rumors where you may hear that Mutua has, and look at the connections and see whether it adds up. Because I have lived within my means.
And what did they say? What was the result?
They looked at it and they are yet to come back to me, but they have not come back and told me account for this or this, because they have not found any anomaly. Because they come back to you if they have found any anomaly. Because I can account for each and everything that I have, that Lillian has, that my parents have, that we have, because I live within my means. I use my creative ends, you know, I make films, I run my industries, I do my biasharas, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you have to wallow in poverty. No, I have my money, but it is legally owned. When I became governor, I was surprised when I was told that some governors take 10% of all deals. So, you know, it's like, for example, when you're buying vehicles, 10%, 6%, inaenda hapo. You know, it's added up. I could not understand. You know, we used to talk with former head of public service, Ambassador Mudaura, and even the new public service, Dr. Kenyans, about corruption and the length it has gone to. All these things that are added up, the Mwananchi suffers a lot. And we decided, let's live within our means. We need to have a few good people in this country. Yeah. We need to have people who are committed to say, this is what I have. And I'm surprised. Why are people running away from lifestyle audit? All of a sudden there's a panic. Yeah. All of a sudden people are going astray. You know, mwizi ni mwizi, vile the president said. Absolutely. And what I had said before. Yes. Mwizi ni mwizi. Mwizi wa kuku, na mwizi wa NYS, mwizi wa mashamba, mwizi wa sukari, ni mwizi. Absolutely. Ametuibia. So the same way we want to stone a thief who has taken somebody's wallet in the streets of Nairobi should be the same anger we have that we want to stone somebody who is stolen money from us.
And yet you're saying deals. We're not angry enough.
Kenyans are not angry enough.
What do we need to do? I mean, we know, or we think we know who the thieves are. Maybe we don't really know, but maybe we know.
I don't know. Do you know?
Well, you know, I know what you know.
And I know what you think I know. I have a list. I was given a list by some prominent, knowledgeable people of a number of people and a number of companies that are involved in the maize scandal. And it's mind-boggling. You've got senators there, you've got cabinet secretaries, you've got senior government officials. I know
they're all in there.
They're in the list. Uhuru has the list. I'm waiting. I know he has the list somehow, because I can't get the list and he doesn't have the list.
Correct. And
I want him to get angry because these are people who every time he does like this, he bumps into them.
Yes.
These are people close to him.
And they're letting him down.
They're letting him down. They're making him look like a thief.
And they laugh with him in the corridors.
Because it is said the Uhuru government is corrupt. So it is his government. He is the president.
Correct.
So they are actually mocking him.
They're laughing at him.
They're laughing at him because he's got all these wonderful agendas that you want to carry out, but they'll not be carried out. I had a friend of mine come the other day and tell me, this housing thing of Uhuru, hakuna mali inaenda. Namuuliza why? Sema, I've been going to those meetings. Everybody there is about cutting a deal. Everybody's about cutting a deal. Whereby now the houses are supposed to be for the poor, they'll be for the rich. Unless Uhuru start noticing that the people who are around him are always cutting deals, then we'll never go anywhere. Nothing will work.
Do you think he knows, though? Do you think he's aware?
Uhuru is a smart guy. He is aware. But he's been held hostage for a very long time. And we want to free him from that move of being held hostage. And I think the handshake helps. The support that we are giving him, but also talking about the same things, it helps. Because he needs to know that he's got people who are also with him,
right,
who believe the same thing, and not just funny people. People are just as clean as he is. People can say, this is my record, I don't steal. Yeah. I've been able to do all these things because money goes to wananchi, regardless of the rumors and the propaganda. That's how we live within our means.
Absolutely. Before we go to break, Governor, real quick, that scene in Kisii on the bridge. Paul Esana, first of all, describe it to us. What was happening?
It was actually scary. What happened is that I was in a place called Gucha. Wonderful. The Kisii people love me for a reason. I don't know why. I went to Kisii. I was like a superstar. I thought I'd written a new song or something, you know. They love me. They are great people. Yeah. Very, very hardworking people. Very hardworking. You look at the shambas, everybody is digging. Very hardworking, very beautiful hearts. Hardworking. So I'd been in central Kisii, went to Gucha. We went, had a meeting. Then as we were coming to town to have a baraza, the deputy governor of Kisii, wonderful man, he told me, you know, there's this river. It's an amazing river. Let's look at it. So we went to look at the river, Gucha, and there was it's a footbridge. It was built 2009, not by the county government, but by the CDF or something. So we went, and actually, as we were walking in, the journalist had gone across. We walked in, and journalists on the other side said, "Stop, please go back and walk in again," so that they could get footage of us walking in again. So we started walking in again. We had just made 3-4 steps when I had go, 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 go. And the bridge just went shh.
With all you guys?
With all of us on the bridge. But it collapsed in the center. We were not at the center. We had just started. So none of us got into the bridge, I think, into the water. One of the journalists, I think, the journalist actually fell closer to the water, and some of them dipped their legs in the water. So we had water. I had water on my feet coming through, but we held ourselves up and we were able to go. And I thank the Lord, because that bridge was going to come down sometime. And I think that God used me and my trip to actually save lives. Why do I say this? Because that bridge would have gone down maybe, because people pass there with donkeys and borders, it would have gone down maybe in the middle of the night.
So you were happy morning, with the sacrificial lamb.
And people would have been taken by water. Nobody died as a result.
Can you swim?
Yes, I can swim. But had I fallen into the water, it was pure drowning. Nobody could have swum in that water.
Seriously?
It was torrential. It was very, very busy. I mean, you survive, but you can survive, you swim, but the water is very dangerous.
Are you still going to sue standard reporter Jeffrey Mosoku, who wrote some story that you were taking selfies that day?
You know, and the funny thing is this, and we asked this. The principle I have is this. The story of a governor and a deputy governor nearly drowning because a bridge has come down is juicy enough without having to add a lie so as to make the other person look, you know, derogatory or look simplistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They did not have to add a lie. They did not have to add the selfie bit to make us look like we're just, you know, what do you call them?
Celebs.
You know, this something king, what do you call them? This slay kings or whatever, you know? They didn't have to do that. And so that was malice. That was pure malice. And people have to realize you don't get away with malice. And I am bitter, because as a journalist, I was taught for many years that you tell the truth and you report the facts, and you do not add anything from your own imagination. That's how journalism should be. I think that's how it was for you for CNN.
Absolutely.
You report what is happening.
Correct.
So why do you need to add funny things, some chumvi, where the story is already juicy enough? So that is why I'm going through with the whole of this prosecution system, so that people learn that in journalism we have standards. I'm not even doing it for myself. I'm doing it for us, for you and me, credible journalists who need to tell the story the right way.
Absolutely.